Hello, and thanks for joining us on this HOAleader.com video chat with two of our experts. My name is Gabriella Falisco. Today, I'm joined by Brad Van Ruyen of Florida and Alex Noland of California. We're going to offer suggestions for investing your association's funds wisely and according to the law in many states. And the topic has come about because a board member in one of the communities that Brad manages suggested that the board invest association funds in cryptocurrency. So in this video, we'll explain some of the riskiest investment strategies clients have considered or even pursued, and we'll explain why they weren't the best practice. And then in our second video, Brad and Alex will offer their best tips and practices for investing association money wisely and according to the law. Just a note, our experts are providing insights based on the laws and practices in their state. They're intending to provide you general guidance that you can use when you approach experts in your state. So given that, let's jump in. Brad, tell us about this board member who wanted to invest in crypto.
Yeah, so if everybody recalls last year, there was that boom of, I will call them meme stocks. There was Dogecoin, which is a cryptocurrency. And at the same time, I think it was GameStop and AMC. And there was a lot of movement and people were making a significant amount of money. One of our board members had us add to an item in reserve investment. And I thought, okay, this sounds interesting. So I jumped onto the Zoom and we got to that agenda item, and this board member had prepared an entire Excel presentation and was trying to convince the board on why it was a good idea to take approximately $100,000 of association reserve money and invest it in Dogecoin. And he had run a whole calculation that, you know, in 3 or 4 days, they could take that 100,000 and convert it into 300,000. He said it was relatively low risk. And it was a great way for the association to, you know, reduce their amount needed to reserve over the years rather quickly. Well, I'm sitting there and I hear this and immediately I just go, whoa, time out, hold on. While I personally made some money on Doge, and that's not a investment advice, it is absolutely not a strategy a board should be taking. It is extremely risky, extremely volatile. And I don't even think that, from what I can tell, I don't even think there's a provision in the statute or the governing documents that would authorize a board to take such a risky investment.
Alex, have you had a similar experience?
You know, I've had clients from time to time that have, asked, well, what if we invested some of our reserves in the stock market or things that maybe weren't safe investments? And there's a problem with that. I mean, in California, we have the business judgment rule, which is a part of our corporations code, which I think almost every state has their own version of that, which really requires that volunteer directors and officers use prudent business judgment when they're making decisions for their corporation, for their HOA, whatever it is. And, my general guidance, and I believe kind of the general thought in the industry, at least in California, is that boards shouldn't be investing HOA money in stocks and high-risk investment options, because the board's job is to protect the principal, the corpus of the reserve funds in particular, not to necessarily make gains. And I know there's this concern that if we're putting it into a savings account or money market account where we're making minimal interest, that over time, the principal might actually decrease based on a low return on investment. But the board's not there to be generating, money off of these funds. They're there to protect the funds and make sure they're available for use later.
Brad, what was the response to the board from the board when you said, "Whoa, hold on"? Did they get it, or was there pushback?
Initially, the one board member that had the presentation felt like we were trying to discredit it too quickly because he himself was heavily invested in multiple types of cryptocurrency, and he felt like we were just trying to brush him off and not take it seriously. And he was so adamant because he himself, like I said, had seen some large yields off of these types of investments. Now, look, his heart was in the right place. The strategy on how to get there was wrong. I mean, one of the things that we really try to encourage boards to focus on is safety above all. Anything that you invest in on the association's behalf, it needs to be in a safe investment, a CD, a treasury bill, staying out of the stock market, keeping liquidity, having quick access to that money, because you don't know when something's going to be needed. I mean, you may be reserving for something, but that reserve item may fail sooner than you expect. And if you have your funds tied up in an investment that takes time and costs the association large penalties or early withdrawal fees, you're putting the association at a disadvantage.
Okay, great.
So eventually we were able to get through to him to understand that it wasn't the right move. And, we just had to remind him that, again, the association has that obligation of being safe with their money first and foremost.
Good. Listeners, thanks, Brad. Thanks, Alex, for your quick takes on the topic. And listeners, thanks for joining us. We hope you'll join us again next month.